Hello everyone, today we are going to study the 8th chapter of Moments of class 9th. The title of the chapter is A House is Not a Home, written by Jan Godioso. Now before moving to the text, let me differentiate between a house and a home. The Hindi word for a house is makan, and makan is something which is made up of bricks and stones. It refers to the structure of the building. And Hindi word for a home is ghar. Now what is the basic ingredient of a ghar, a home? That is bonding, emotional bonding, affection among the members of the family. So the basic ingredient of a home is family members. So this is the basic difference between a house and a home. Now let's move to the text and let's see how this title is relevant to the story. My first year of high school felt awkward. After leaving junior high at the head of my class with all the seniority the upper grade levels could afford me, it felt strange starting over as a freshman. The school was twice as big as my old school, and to make matters worse, my closest friends were sent to different high school. I felt very isolated. So here I and my has been used many times, and it refers to the author of this story. He is the narrator of this story, and here in this paragraph awkward has been used. It means strange, and isolated it means lonely, and freshman it refers to the first year at college. So here he says in this paragraph that he has completed his junior high school, and after the completion of junior high school he has got admission in high school, and there he is a fresher, and as a fresher everything is new to him. The campus, the people, the students, everyone was a stranger to him. He was new in the campus, and therefore it was a little bit strange to him. That's why he felt a little bit awkward there in the new campus. And he says that his new high school is twice bigger than his old school. And he says that none of his closest friend from his previous school was there, and that's why he felt lonely, he felt awkward and isolated. I missed my old teachers so much that I would go back and visit them. They would encourage me to get involved in school activities so that I could meet new people. They told me that in time I would adjust and probably end up loving my new school more than I had my old one. They made me promise that when that happened, I would still come by and visit them from time to time. I understood the psychology in what they were saying, but I took some comfort in it nonetheless. So here in this paragraph, the author, he says that as he was feeling lonely in his new school, he was missing his old school. Why he was missing his old school? Because he has been studying there in that school, in that campus for many years, and that's why he was familiar to everyone, and that too he enjoyed the seniority, and that too he was the head of the class. It means he was the monitor of the class, and that's why he enjoyed different privilege as well. But here in this new school he was totally new, and none of the friends from the previous school was with him, and that's why he was totally alone, and that's why he was missing his old school as well as the teachers from old school. And therefore what he says that he used to very often visit his teacher from his old school. So when he went to meet them, the teacher from his old school used to encourage him, and they asked him to get involved in different activities. He asked him to mix with the pupils, with the students of his new school, and slowly and gradually he will become friendly and he will make new friends, and then he will be totally fit. He will be fit in the new campus. He will adjust there in the new campus. And then the teacher says that once he will get acquainted with the classmates and with the campus of new school, then he says that even he will forget his old school. And then the teacher, they said him that once you have got adjusted over there, then don't forget us, keep visiting us. So he says that he understood that what they were trying to say, but even then it was just a sort of words to comfort him, to encourage him, and to show him the way that how he can be friendly with the campus, that is by involving himself in the activities which was going on in his new school. One Sunday afternoon, not long after I had started high school, I was sitting at home at our dining table doing homework. It was a cold and windy fall day, and we had a fire going in our fireplace. As usual, my red tabby cat was lying on the top of all my papers, purring loudly and occasionally sweating at the pain for entertainment's sake. So now he says, the author says over here, he narrates an incident of Sunday. So he says that one Sunday afternoon he was sitting on his dining table, in his dining room table, and there he was doing his homework, and on the top of the table his red tabby cat was sitting with him. Here the word tabby, it means grey in color. It refers to the grey or brownish color of the cat. So the cat was sitting over there on the top of the papers on that table where he was doing his homework, and as it was cold day, it was windy day, and therefore it was cold outside. Therefore, in order to keep the house warm, fire was burning in the fireplace. And the cat sitting there on the table, it was purring. Purring is the low continuous sound produced by cat, and he was producing sound with pain as it entertains him. She was never far from me. I had rescued her when she was a kitten, and somehow she knew that I was the one responsible for giving her the good life. So he says over here, he talks about his kitten, about his cat. He says that he has rescued it when the cat was kitten only, when it was small only, and he says that somehow even the kitten, even that cat knew that the author is responsible for giving him good life. And both of them, the cat and the author, both of them are very closely associated with each other. They can't stay far from each other. They are always found together only. My mother kept stoking the fire to keep the house nice and warm. Suddenly I smelled something strange, and then I noticed it, a smoke pouring in through the seams of the ceiling. The smoke began to fill the room so quickly that we could barely see. Groping our way to the front door, we ran all out into the front yard. By the time we made our way outside, the whole roof was engulfed in flames and it was spreading quickly. I ran to the neighbors to call the fire department while I watched my mother ran back into the house. So he says that Sunday afternoon when he was doing his homework, sitting on his dining table with his cat, he said that suddenly he smelled something. He was doing his homework and his mother was stoking the fire. Stoking, it means she was adding fuel, or you may say coal over here, to keep the fire burning. As it was cold outside, so in order to keep the house warm, she was adding coal or fuel to that fireplace. And then suddenly what he says, that suddenly he smelled something strange. Some strange smell came to him, and when he saw what he saw, that there was a smoke all around in the ceiling, and very soon that smoke spread it. The smoke spread out throughout his house and he could not see anything. So there was a thick layer of smoke in the house and he could not see anything. Then the word groping is being given over here, groping our way to the front door. It means that as he was not able to see anything, as there was thick layer of smoke in the room, and therefore groping, it means that when you walk blindly, looking for some help. So with closed eyes, when you walk, that is groping. So he was searching for things so that he can get out of the house. So he was able, somehow he managed to get out of the house, and he reached in the front yard, and there, standing there in the yard, he saw that the whole house, the roof was caught in fire. And then he ran to his neighbor's house in order to make call to the fire department, and then he saw what he saw, that his mother ran back into the house. While he went to make call to the fire department, he saw that his mother ran back into the house. My mother then ran out of the house carrying a small metal box full of important documents. She dropped the case on the lawn and, in a crazed state, ran back into the house. I knew what she was after. My father had died when I was young, and I was certain that she was not going to let his pictures and letters go up in flames. They were the only things that she had to remember him by. Still I screamed at her, "Mom, no." So he says that while he made phone call to the fire department, he saw that his mother went into the house, and she came back from that house with a small metal box in her hand, and that metal box contains all important documents belonging to them. So as soon as she came out in the lawn with that small box, she dropped, she kept that metal box in the yard, and then in a crazed state, it means something she suddenly recalled, and she was not able to control herself, and she ran into the house again. The house was on fire, but she did not bother about it, and she went into the house. And then the author says that he knew that why his mother went into the house again. And then he says that she went into the house to bring the things which belongs to his father. And what were those things? That those were the things were pictures and letters. So his father is no more in this world. He has died few years back, and those letters and pictures were some of the things which was left with his mother. That was the only sign of his father, and therefore his mother, she will not let all those pictures and letters to burn, and therefore in order to get those pictures and letters, she went into the house. So when she was getting into the house, he was going into the house, he screamed, he asked his mother not to step into the house because the whole house was on fire. I was about to run after her when I felt a large hand hold me back. It was a fireman. I had not even noticed that the street had already filled with fire trucks. I was trying to free myself from his grasp, yelling, "You don't understand, my mother's in there." So he says that as soon as he went again into the house in order to bring the letters and pictures which belongs to his father, even he was not able to control herself. He was anxious and worried about his mother, and therefore what he did, he was about to run after her. So when he was about to run after her, suddenly he felt that someone holded him, someone caught him firmly. And when he turned back, he saw that it was a fireman. He was a fireman. The person who was holding him was a fireman, and he did not even notice that the fireman, the fire department, the fire trucks was already there. And then he shouted at that fireman who was holding him tightly. He yelled at him. He shouted at him that, "You don't understand, my mother is there in the house, so let me go inside the house." He held on to me while other firefighters ran into the house. He knew that I was not acting very logically, and that if he were to let go, I would run. He was right. "It's all right, they will get her," he said. So here it is being said that while the firefighter, one of the firemen was holding him, the other firefighters went into the house, and The firefighter who was holding him, the fireman who was holding him tightly, he said him that no need to panic, don't worry, we are here, we will get your mother safely from the home. He wrapped a blanket around me and sat me down in our car. Soon after that, a fireman emerged from our house with my mom in tow. He quickly took her over to the truck and put an oxygen mask on her. I ran over and hugged her. All those times I ever argued with her and I hated her vanished at the thought of losing her. So as soon as he was wrapped into the blanket and he was sent in his car, he sat down in his car, and as soon as he sat there in the car wrapped by the blanket which was provided by the fireman, he saw that few firemen was coming out of the house with her mother. So his mother was taken to the truck, to the fireman truck, and there she was provided with oxygen mask. And then he, the author, he ran to his mother and he says that he felt at that moment that perhaps he was going to lose his mother, and that idea keeps coming into his mind, and this is what he hated, and that's why he was arguing with his mother, he was fighting with his mother because he don't want to lose her. She's going to be okay, said the fireman. She just inhaled a little smoke and then he ran back to fight the fire while my mother and I sat there dazed. I remember watching my house burn down and thinking that there was nothing I could do about it. So he, the author, stayed there with his mother in the truck where she was being given oxygen, and the fireman informed him that she is going to be alright. She had just inhaled some smoke and that's why she is feeling dizzy. So she is going to be alright very soon. And then the fireman ran to fight the fire, and then he says that he was there stayed with his mother, and from there he could see his house burning, but he could not do anything. 5 hours later, the fire was finally out. Our house was almost completely burned down, but then it struck me I had not seen my cat. Where's my cat? Much to my horror, I realized that she was nowhere to be found. Then all at once it hit me, the new school, the fire, my cat. I broke down in tears and cried and cried. I was suffering loss big time. So he says here that it took 5 hours to the fireman to put off the fire. So the house was burning, the fire was massive, and it took 5 hours to the fireman to put off the fire. And as soon as the fire was put off, suddenly it struck to him that he has not seen his cat in those 5 hours. And then it came to his mind about his things, about his new school, about his backpacks, his books and everything, the fire, the cat, and then he broke down, he started crying, he started weeping. Why? Because he has lost everything. His books, his dress, everything was lost, everything was burnt, and even his cat was not there with him. And therefore he started crying and weeping. The fireman would not let us go back into the house that night. It was still too dangerous, dead or alive. I could not imagine living without knowing about my cat. Regardless, I had to go. We piled into the car with just the clothes on our backs and a few the fireman's blanket and made our way to my grandparents' house to spend the night. So here he says that he was too much attached to that cat, he was fond of that cat, and therefore he could not leave the place without knowing about his cat, that what has happened with that cat, whether the cat is dead or alive. But they were not allowed to enter the house that night, and therefore he had to leave at last. So he says that they were left with nothing except few clothes which was there in the car, at the back of the car, and there were few blankets. Even those blankets were provided to them by the fireman. And then to they left for their grandparents' house in order to spend night. The next day, Monday, I went to school. When the fire broke out, I was still wearing the dress I had worn to church that morning, but I had no shoes. I had kicked them off when I was doing my homework. They became yet another casualty of the fire. So he says the day was Sunday on which the fire caught, and he has returned back from the church, and therefore he was still wearing the dress which he has worn to the church. Only one thing which he has put off, that was his shoes. So while he was doing his homework, he has put off his shoes. He has kicked it out, and he was doing his homework, and therefore he don't even have shoes with him right now, and still till now he is wearing the same dress which he has worn to the church. So I had to borrow some tennis shoes from my aunt. Why could not I just stay home from school? My mother would not hear of it, but I was totally embarrassed by everything. The clothes I was wearing looked weird. I had no books or homework, and my backpack was gone. So he says that it was Monday now and he has to go to school. He was wearing the same dress which he has worn to the church, and he don't even have shoes. Therefore he had to ask his aunt for tennis shoes so that he may go to school. And then he says that his everything was burnt in that house, only his backpacks, his book, his homework, he was with nothing. So he has to attend the school in that cloth only, and therefore he says that it seems totally different. It seemed strange to him to attend the school in those church clothes. But he was left with no option, therefore he had to do it. I had my life in that backpack. The more I tried to fit in, the worse it got. Was I destined to be an outcast and a geek all my life? That's what it felt like. I did not want to grow up, change, or have to handle life if it was going to be this way. I just wanted to curl up and die. So here he says that he was totally dejected. He was feeling so bad about himself. He was feeling like outcast. Outcast is the person who has been rejected by the society. And he felt bad for the loss which he has suffered recently. And even few years back, he has lost his father. So continuously, life is giving him different challenges. And therefore he feels that if this is the way how life will offer him challenges and suffering, then he will not like to grow up, and he would not like to live this life. And therefore he thinks that it would be better to curl and die instead of seeing all this suffering. So it shows that he was totally depressed and frustrated by his life. I walked around school like a zombie. Everything felt surreal, and I was not sure what was going to happen. All the security I had known from my old school, my friends, my house, and my cat had all been ripped away. So here the word zombie has been used over here. So it means completely unresponsible to surrounding. And surreal, it means unreal. So next day he went to school, and that day he was walking in the school like a zombie. It means totally irresponsible about the surrounding. He did not notice anything about the surrounding. He was lost in himself, and he was walking in the school. He don't even have homework, he don't have backpacks, he don't have books, so he was with nothing, and therefore he felt bad. He was lost in himself, and even he was new in the campus, and therefore he don't know anyone. And that is the thing which made the matter was for him, and he says that in old school he felt quite secure because everyone was known to him. He had many friends over there, and at that time even his house was there. It was safe, it was unburnt, and even he had cats. So whatever was there till now, whatever he possessed, whatever was his earning of his life till now, everything was lost. That is his friends, his old school, his house, his cat, everything was taken away from his, ripped away. It means everything was taken away from him, so he was left with nothing. When I walked through what used to be my house after school that day, I was shocked to see how much damage there was. Whatever had not burnt was destroyed by the water and chemicals they had used to put out the fire. The only material things not destroyed were the photo album, documents, and some other personal items that my mother had managed to heroically rescue. But my cat was gone and my heart ached for her. So he says that next day after school he went to see his house, the house which has burnt down. So there he saw that everything was destroyed, everything was burnt, nothing was left, and whatever was left unburnt was damaged, was destroyed by the action of water and chemical which was used by the fireman in order to put off the fire. So only the things which was taken out of the house by his mother, only those things, that includes photo album, documents, and some other personal item was safe, and apart from that everything was destroyed. But he did not bother about those things which has burnt up, which has destroyed in that fire. But the one thing which he has lost, that is his cat, hurts him the most. So he says he did not feel, no doubt he feel bad for the house, for his house, but out of all those things which he has lost in that fire, the cat was the thing which he longs for the most. So he was feeling bad for his cat. There was no time to grieve. My mother rushed me out of the house. We would have to find a place to live and would have to go buy some clothes for school. We had to borrow money from my grandparents because there were no credit cards, no cash, or even any identification to be able to withdraw money from the bank. Everything had gone up in smoke. So he says that he went there with his mother to see the condition of his house, but it was time for action. It was not time to be sorrowful, to be grieved, and therefore he was taken away from there by his mother, and he says that they have to make a number of arrangements. Therefore he left that place along with his mother. They had to find a new house, and they had to purchase many things, and for that they don't have any money, and they don't even have any documents so that they can withdraw money from the banks. And therefore what they had to do, they had to take loan, they had to borrow money from his grandparents. That week the rubble that used to be our house was being cleared off the lot. Even though we had rented an apartment nearby, I'd go over to watch them clear my away debris, hoping that my cat was somewhere to be found. She was gone. I kept thinking about her as that vulnerable little kitten. In the early morning, when I would disturb her and get out of bed, she would tag along after me, climb up my robe, and crawl into my pocket to fall asleep. I was missing her terribly. So here in this paragraph it is being said that now they have rented an apartment in the nearby locality, and the house which has been burnt, that area was being cleaned, was being cleared, and the labor was clearing those areas, and the remaining, the thing which was burnt was being cleared away, and there he used to go every day in a hope that he will find his cat, but he did not find it anywhere. And then he says that he missed that cat very badly. He missed it very badly. He recalled one incident of his cat, that early morning when he used to get up, he used to disturb that cat, and then that cat used to crawl up into his pocket, and then it used to sleep there in the pocket of his robe. It always seems that bad news spreads quickly, and in my case it was no different. Everyone in his high school, including the teachers, was aware of my plight. I was embraced as if somehow I was responsible. What a way to start off at new school. This was not the kind of attention I was looking for. So here he says in this paragraph that bad news used to spread very quickly, and same happened in his case as well. Even in his case, the bad news about his plight, about his suffering, about his unfortunate situation spread very quickly among everyone. So everyone from his new high school, from student to teacher, came to know about his condition, and he felt very shame about it. He was feeling embraced about it, as if that he was responsible for that fire. So he was thinking to himself that this is how my new school will start. He has never thought that this sort of thing will happen when he is going to start his new high school, and this type of misfortune, unfortunate incident will happen to him, and this is how all students and teacher of his new high school will come to know about him. Then next day at school, people were acting even more strange than usual. I was getting ready for my gym class. At my locker, people were milling around me, asking me to hurry up. I thought it strange, but in the light of the past few weeks, nothing would surprise me. It almost seemed that they were trying to shove me into the gym. Then I saw why. So here he says in this paragraph that next day when he went to school, everyone was behaving strangely and in an unusual manner. And at the moment when he was getting ready for his gym class, standing near his locker, he saw that all the people were moving around him. Here milling refers to moving around him, and they were asking him to hurry up. So he found all these things quite strange and unusual, but he says that the incident which he has suffered, the accident which he has met with recently, was something totally different from what he was facing right now. So it was more surprising to him than the thing which was going on with him in the school, and therefore it was not surprising to him. So they were shoving him. Shove here, it means they were pushing him toward gym. So when he went to the gym, he saw something, and then he realized that why the people were pushing him into the gym. There was a big table set with all kind of stuff on it just for me. They had taken up a collection and bought me school supplies, notebook, all kind of different clothes, jeans, tops, sweatsuits. It was like Christmas. I was overcome by emotion. People who had never spoken to me before were coming up to me to introduce themselves. I got all kind of invitations to their houses. Their genuine outpouring of concern really touched me. In that instant, I finally breathed a sigh of relief and thought for the first time that things were going to be okay. I made friends that day. So, when he was taken into the gym room, there he saw a big table, and on that big table there were number of things. Whatever was essential commodities, whatever things was required by him, school supplies, it means the things which was required for attending a school, notebooks, clothes, dress, backpack, shoes, everything was there on that big table, and all those things were for him. So he says that The students, the classmates of his new school has taken up a collection. It means they have collected money and they have bought all those things for him. So it was like a Christmas gift for him. So when he saw all those things, he was overcome by emotion. It means he was not able to control his emotion. And why he was not able to control his emotion? Because he was all new in that campus. He was a stranger to other students, and even all other students were a stranger to him. But even though they have collected and money and they have thought about him, so therefore he was touched by it. He got emotional by the action of his other classmates, and they invited him to his house. And even the invitation was not the casual one, it was genuine one. So this is how he felt. This is why he felt touched, and then he finally breathed a sigh of relief. It means then he was able to comfort himself, then he was comforted, because now he found that even here in this new school, as the old school, there are people who thinks about him, who cares about him. And that day he made new friends. A month later, I was at my house watching them rebuild it. But this time it was different. I was not alone. I was with two of my new friends from school. It took a fire for me to stop focusing on my feelings of insecurity and open up to all the wonderful people around me. Now I was sitting there watching my house being rebuilt when I realized my life was doing the same. So he says that 1 month has passed, and today he is sitting there near his house. His house is being rebuilt, the house which was caught on fire, and there today he was visiting that place with his two new friends from his new school. So here he says that fire did something better in his life as well. No doubt it has taken a lot of things due to which he has suffered a lot of loss, but at the same time it has given him a lot of things as well. What it has given? Before this, he was feeling insecure and strange, like a zombie in the new campus. He was feeling awkward in the new campus, but due to that fire only, he has made new friends in that school, and he has started mixing up with the people, with the students of that school, and this is how he has made many friends. So his house was being rebuilt, and even then he says that when I realized my life was doing the same. So at the same time, he has here in this paragraph, in the last line, he has compared his life to his house which was being renovated, which was being rebuilt. So as his house was being rebuilt and renovated, even his life was improving, even it was being rebuilt. How it was being rebuilt? Because he has started mixing up with people, he have made new friends, and he was getting interested in his new school. He was adjusting himself in that new school. He was comfortable at his new school. While we sat there on the curb planning my new bedroom, I heard someone walk up to me from behind and say, "Does this belongs to you?" When I turned around to see who it was, I could not believe my eyes. A woman was standing there holding my cat. I leaped up and grabbed her out of the woman's arm. I held her close to me and cried into that beautiful orange fur. She purred happily. My friends were hugging me, hugging the cat, and jumping around me. So he says that while he was sitting there looking at his house which was being rebuilt, he was sitting on the curb. Here, curb, it means the pavement. It refers to the pavement, the high raised area which is usually on the footpath. So he was sitting over there on the pavement, and he was sitting there along with his friends, and he was planning for his new bedroom. Then suddenly he heard someone referring to him. He heard a voice of lady asking him something, and the lady was asking him that, "Does this belongs to you?" So when he heard this question, he turned back, and he was surprised to see what he saw, that a lady was there, a woman was there standing with his cat in her hand. So as soon as he saw his cat in that woman's arm, he holded it, he took it quickly from her arms and he kissed his cat, he hugged it, and even the cat was happy, even the cat was purring, and he was hugging his cat, even his friends were happy and they were jumping around him. Apparently, my cat had been so freaked by the fire that she ran over a mile away. His collar had our phone number on it, but our phones had been destroyed and disconnected. This wonderful woman took her in and worked hard to find out whose cat it was. Somehow she knew that the cat was loved and sorely missed. So here he says that at the moment when the house caught on fire, the cat was confused, it was afraid, it got terrified, and it did not know how to react, how to respond to it, and therefore what it did, it ran away. It ran away a mile away. And this lady got that cat, she found that cat, and on the collar of that cat the phone number of author was written, but she was not able to, the lady was not able to contact them as telephone was destroyed in that fire. But that lady somehow, she did hard work and somehow she managed to find the address of the author. As I sat there with my friends and my cat curled up in my lap, all the overwhelming feelings of loss and tragedy seemed to diminish. I felt gratitude for my life, my new friends, the kindness of a stranger, and the loud purr of my beloved cat. My cat was back, so was I. So he says that there he was sitting with his friends, and one of the important members of his family was missing, that is cat, and even now the cat has returned. He has reunited himself with his cat, and so now his family is complete once again. So all those feeling of loss and suffering which he has suffered in past, all was diminishing. He has forgot all those lost, and he was thankful to that lady who has returned his cat. So now he says that he is back to life, all his worries, his grief, his sorrow has come to an end. So the moment he found his cat, and when he grew acquainted and when he made new friends, all the sufferings were gone, and now again, once again, he is back to his life. Once again, he is leading a normal life. So this is all about this story. Thank you.